Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is September 19, 2022, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights of today, gold breaks lower support. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. No major economic events scheduled for today. But as we look at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the British pound, and the Canadian dollar on their lows. In terms of the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ hover near their lows. Looking at commodities, gold, as mentioned before, breaks that lower limit, and oil retraces to that lower end. Now looking at stocks, Microsoft and Facebook bounce off of their new lows. And lastly, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin breaks further down and falters lower below 20K. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're looking at the Eur Usd, as you can see here, on a 4-hour chart. First, at a daily chart, excuse me. Now, this is looking at a 4-hour chart. So all intents and purposes, hasn't been doing much. It's just really been trading sideways. But what has been trading is the GBP USD. Look at that, making new lows for the year, and just is at 113. I mean, this is probably the weakest we've seen. The British pound versus the dollar, as in terms as forever. I mean, this is the weakest it's ever gotten. I mean, we were at this level in 2020 as we hit that low, but since then, that is really as low as we can possibly go. I mean, just look at that. This has been just over the past half a year, since January, just been trading further and further down. Now looking at the Canadian dollar, also on its highs versus the USD. That means it's weak versus the USD as it's making new lows versus the USD. Looking at a daily chart, finally breaking out of that 131 and then just taking it higher. And we've crossed over the 200-day moving average on a weekly. And so we're at a point where we're hitting a possible resistance-ish area. 130.50-ish level is getting closer to that area. Now looking at commodities, first looking at gold. This is what I wanted to highlight. This is that point where we broke that second support level on the Fibonacci retracement and then making lower lows. We're at 660 right now, and we could possibly retrace back to the 1600-ish level. That's the next Fibonacci retracement there, and you can see we're breached also the 200-day moving average, which is very important. So tremendous weakness when it comes to gold. Looking at crude oil, trading sideways here, but $83 a barrel at the bottom of its range, not breaking lower, so keep that in mind. Now looking at the U.S. markets, the U.S. markets are faltering here and trading lower. And remember, later on in this week, we do have the FOMC, so that is coming up. So that's an important event that may lead us a little bit higher. Looking at the NASDAQ, also trading 11,800-ish level, also retracing here this morning. So it's getting weaker before the open. Now looking at Microsoft, did bounce off of making new lows back to that 247. So if we break this lows at 247, we could see it break further down. So keep that in mind. Now looking at Facebook, also same story. Broke lower, but bouncing off at its lows, and it may get just like this bounce as we go into this number on Wednesday. Looking at the other major stocks, Tesla closes the gap here. This is potential resistance-ish area at this $300 for the stock, so just keep that in mind as well. Now lastly, looking at Intel, made new lows for the year and bounced off of it, but still very weak, so keep that in mind. Now lastly, looking at Bitcoin, broke that 20,000 and we're just below it at 18,500. We're at the bottom of the range, and if the markets break further lower, then I do expect Bitcoin to do the same as well. So we are getting into that bearish kind of environment right now, so keep that in mind. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day. Thank you.